Okay, so welcome to part 2 on DOS with FORTIGATE firewall and analyzing the packets. So this is where we left off from our previous video. I'm going to pause the ping, and for a moment the usage will just drop to a very low value. You see it's currently at 5, and I'm also going to stop the scan, the packet capture, quit without saving. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to implement a DOS policy, and before that, let me stop the capture and start again. Okay, so starting the capture. Now on my FortiGate firewall, okay, the capture is on. Okay, so now my FortiGate firewall, I will go to IPv4 DOS policy, and I have one policy created, but it's not active. So this is the policy, and this policy is for ICMP ping flood. So in the previous video, we were flooding the gateway with ICMP pings, and we were sending hundreds of ICMP pings to the gateway, which got the FortiGate firewall overwhelmed, and the CPU utilization went up. So here we have a lot of DOS policies over here, but then we are looking at ICMP ping flood. So we are going to block, and we are going to set the threshold, which is 20. So I'll set it to 10, and I will enable this policy. And this policy is enabled on the LAN interface, and for every source address going anywhere, and for every service. Okay, so I'm going to click on OK, and now the policy has been enabled, right? So I'm going, the scan is running, right? Okay, so I'm going to filter for ICMP, and as you can see, currently we don't have any ICMP. So what the policy is going to do is that for the attacker machine, which is going to send hundreds of ICMP pings into onto the gateway or to the gateway, once the threshold exceeds 10 ICMP pings, it's going to drop all the remaining packets that is being sent. So without wasting much time, let's go back and let's have our CPU utilization right beside us, and let's compare it to the previous video. So okay, it's loading. Okay, so currently we are at 4, might rise to 11 at because there is no activity going on. So now let's repeat what is going on we did in the previous video. So I'll send ping with the F argument. It previously sent hundreds of packets to the gateway. So as you can see, there's no pings over here. So I'll send the pings over here, and as you can see, as compared to the previous video and looking at the ICMP pings that we are capturing, you see there's an error over here. After the first 10 ICMP packets, all the rest will be dropped. Okay, so let me stop the ping. As you can see, the pings are flowing through. So the attacker might think that okay, the pings are going through, I'm getting the gateway overwhelmed. But then look at the utilization window. We just have 5%, nothing is going on. So I'm going to stop the pings, and we analyze the packets that we've captured. Okay, so as you can see, nothing happened. So back to the capture over here, I'm going to select, this is the first ICMP ping which was sent to the gateway. So one thing I can do is that I can, ICMP or the IP header has something we call the identification field. So in my previous video, when I was talking about the IPv4 header, I made mention that we will come back to this this field. So we're going to apply it as a column over here, right? So for every IP packet being sent from the IP stack is being marked with an ID. So the first packet that was sent from the client to the gateway had an ID of 27874. Now look at the next packet. So we are just focused on the packets being sent from the client, which had an IP address of 13. This is the gateway. So the gateway too, in replying the ICMP ping, will also mark its IP, which is being sent out from the its IP stack with a different ID. But let's focus on the IP from the client. So we have 27874, and you remember we had a threshold, right? So now let's focus on the threshold. Okay, so for the first 10 pings that go to the gateway, it will be replied. The subsequent ones will all be dropped. So let's count it. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So this packet got a reply, and as you can see over here, where I could give you a direction, this host sent the packet to this IP address, which is the gateway, and the gateway replied to the host over here. So this was the last packet which was replied, and since then we had request, 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 which means the pings were not going through, and because of the IPv4 DOS policy. And now look at the Ethernet header over here. We have a warning. So no, the packet is telling us, the captcha is telling us that for these packets being sent from the client, which had an IP address of 113 to the gateway, there were no requests. So you see, this is an ICMP protocol, and then we see there's no response. Now let's click on the one which had a response. So this one, and as you can see, ICMP ping request, and there was a response, right? So ping request, and then the checksum is correct, and then we had a response. But then this is the data which was being sent. But now when we click on the request, you can see there's an error over here. We had no response seen, and then the warning is that no response seen to ICMP request, no response seen, and the severity level is warning. So this is a breakdown of how DOS policies work on firewalls and how they block IPs or block packets flowing to their interfaces. Thanks for watching this video, and see you in my next video.